Awesome. Awesome. So I have with me here today, so welcome everybody to this webinar. Uh,
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. We're speaking to someone who I think is very, when I think about the topic that we have, you know, your essence versus corporate, I tend to think about her because I watched your journey and I'm always amazed how you're combining many things and how you seem to have sort of stayed, like personality wise, the same. And then you're in the legal field, which generally the tendency is to calm down or tone down.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited to hear from you and for us to just learn a few things. We're going to try to keep this within an hour
Okay.
and also just take questions, comments at the end, and some introductions. So, of course, I'll introduce our speaker today is Eniola Alowooja. Who is an experienced legal practitioner with over 13 years, you know, experience in the banking industry, digital banking, corporate communications, fashion, of course. She's a graduate of law from Cardiff University, and she was qualified in 2010. You know, she's worked in places like Life Babatunde and Co, Chevron Nigeria, and she also spent 8 years at Guarantee Trust Bank. For my bankers, by the way, but interesting. Um, she's excelled in both the legal and digital banking divisions at GTB, earning a lot of awards for innovation and creativity. Currently, she's with the Bank of Industry um, with the legal division. And of course, Adela, welcome, welcome. Thank you for obliging us your time.
Thanks for having me, Buku. Thank you so much.
Yes. So when we talk about your essence, can you what does that bring up for you when you hear the word your essence? What's my essence? Before we even talk about whether we're keeping it as against, losing it for something else.
Exactly. So when you actually picked this topic, I was like, I was like, this just, appeals to me. Like it's on all fours with
Yeah.
my own personality and my journey, like in the corporate world.
Well,
Because sometimes I'm like, how do you, stay true to yourself? How are you genuine? Like, even in a world that is always trying
yes.
to change you or make you conform and all
Yes.
that. So when we say essence, I think your essence means like those unique character traits, your value system, your moral standpoint, like your talents, your skills, your mindset, even your perspective, and even your thought process. And it means that you have to align it with your work in order to feel a sense of relevance or purpose.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
basically, it's a combination of various factors. That's what essence is.
That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So um now that we sort of touched on what it is, a little bit about what I think two questions I like to ask. First is what would you tell your younger self? So starting out in the corporate world, are there things that you felt like, try to take your essence, and how did you respond to that? And how
Okay.
would you now in 2025 respond to that, if you had to do anything different?
Yeah. So when it like maybe looking back,
Yeah.
on the past, like when you're going through life and your journey,
Yeah.
especially when you start out your career, you're excited about it, like it's going to be awesome. And then you realize that there are people like, why are you so happy? Why are you so this? Why are you so that? So I'm just saying that
Oh, good.
I think now looking back, I think I'm like a much stronger person. I think if I could tell my younger self, some certain things, it would be that, be very confident. Ensure that you
Yeah.
have your head, you stick up your head, you have, high self-esteem. You are genuine and true to yourself. You're not afraid to be yourself. And do not allow like, pressure to like, weigh down upon you. Like be genuine, be comfortable in your own skin. And you do not need to compare yourself with other people. You don't need to compete with other people because you're competing or trying to be a better version of someone else when you can actually be the best version of yourself. You're trying to be better than the person that you are yesterday. That's my only competition, myself. I'm not, trying to compete with anybody. Everybody's journey is different. So focus on your own journey, run your own race. And, knowing yourself, it makes you like, you can contribute better to society, not just your immediate organization, to the society and the world at large. I'll tell myself, be strong and be resolute. Yeah. And ensure that you leverage your strengths, put your best foot forward, take charge of your life, take hold of opportunities. Do not be afraid. I think fear keeps a lot of us, stifled and all. So take chances, put yourself out there. That's what I'll tell myself. Yeah.
Yeah. You can continue.
Okay. I can continue, right?
Oh, that's so I like what you said. So you said be confident and be genuine.
Yeah.
So I subscribe to these things you said. I believe them wholeheartedly. My position is if you're somewhere and because again, yes, we have to stay true to ourselves, but we also have to adapt. And there's like a fine balance between the two. But if you've adapted, and this adaptation is making you a whole new person, you're better. Maybe you want to just try somewhere else. That is my theory. But how do I balance it? So for some people, it seems impossible. And let's take just simple things like what you said. Why are you always so happy? So what if I come into work every day, I'm happy, maybe I work in law, which I guess I do. And I like bright colors, which is very off, especially if you're a young lawyer. You're going to be asked questions about that color that you're trying to wear around. How do I balance, not crossing airs with my bosses and still staying true to myself? Where's the fine balance with that?
Okay, so I think there are various factors that contribute to that. I think external factors and also some of them internal. So the internal ones, the ones that you can control, you would try to control in the sense that, I would say emotional intelligence. You like bright colors, you like to be flashy, but you're in an environment where they tell you you're only wearing black, blue, green. They give you only 4 colors. Sometimes you just have to adapt. You can still bring your style, your flavor to it, but sometimes you can still be stylish. You can dress in a very classy way, but sometimes you have to, draw the line. They'll tell you don't wear. They'll give you 4 colors, and then you not say because I want to stand out, I'm going to wear yellow. Why are you trying to rock the boat sometimes? So that there's a level of emotional intelligence there that you have to apply. Then there's also, having mentors, people that you can talk to, that give me advice. Have you been in this field? What do you think about this? You can bounce ideas off them, obviously, because they have a lot of experience and all that. Then maybe also having a strong value system, because if you know that you are compliant, I know that when I say emotional intelligence, I'll say emotional intelligence over politics sometimes, because I think that sometimes if you want to sustain your essence, I'll say emotional intelligence, because sometimes people play politics to the point where they lose themselves, they lose their essence. Today you're A, tomorrow you're B, tomorrow you're C. So even for me, I feel like even relating with people like that in the workforce, I look at you in a particular way, because I'm emotional intelligence will tell you, okay, your boss is in a funny mood now. Don't go and address a particular issue at a time. But politics could be that you are aligning with everybody. Today is A, tomorrow is, even if it goes against your value system, you're still saying yes to it and all that. So also having a strong support system, people that you can bounce with, just in the office or outside the office. You have maybe it could be a brother, your mom, it could be a friend, it could be your husband, someone that you're very close to. You can, tell, pour out your issues, even when you're down, you're depressed and everything, and then they'll just, give you that, sense of encouragement and support and everything. And then there are also external factors. Sometimes you could have all these things and you're in a place where the work environment is toxic. People are abusive and all these things. So it's either you find a balance or you find a better place if you know that it's affecting your mental health or you know that you can't cope with it. So I'm saying there are times that some people are just angry, there's toxic work environment. There you can't be productive because sometimes no matter how talented, gifted, skilled you are, I can review agreements, I can draft letters, I can do this. In a toxic environment, it's hard to be productive. And even if you are productive or you thrive, it's harder because you have to, scale over so many barriers to be the best,
Yeah.
that you can be.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. I like what you've said. I like a lot of what you said. And I kind of think about it this way. So I was, ruminating recently, and I'm like, in your first 5 years of work, depending on what career you choose, of course, do you
Yeah.
even really have an option of choice of essence? Because I think the older you get, the more flexibility it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going back to like first year, second year, all you're trying to do is be good at your job, be
Yes.
known for being good at your job. And I'm just like, can I really, at that point, it's not even politics I'm playing. It's more like, I just have, if my boss says I need to stay till 7, can I really argue that I can't? You know,
Exactly.
I feel like eventually there are subtle ways of drawing boundaries, but sometimes, especially if you feel like there aren't options, because I think this topic usually impacts the most people who feel like they don't have options.
Yeah.
People who feel like they have options, they tend to be more like, if the boss doesn't like me, the boss doesn't like me.
Exactly.
If I just
True.
do 6 months, if I just do 2 months here, in fact, I'm already bored. I'm gonna report, and they will find another job. But there are people who've been job hunting for 1 year, two
Yeah.
years, three
It's
years. In
true.
their minds, they're like, I have bills. You say I should be authentic. Stay, just leave authenticity alone first. I need to pay bills. So I would say that what I find is at work you may not be able to do anything, but you then have to sort of create something for yourself outside work.
Yeah.
So is there something you did that sort of helped you balance out maybe work pressure and work stress and just needing to conform a lot in one place, but still trying to find maybe external places to express yourself?
Yes. So I would say, like, I think that initial phase of your career, I'll just say that I think when you start out, I don't think you should have like high expectations. Don't set the bar too high. Like, you're just trying to like learn the ropes. You're trying to learn a lot about,
Yeah.
different transactions, just trying to survive more or less. Because for
Yes.
like like for people like me that, I was just thrown into the banking world. I had to be in the office sometimes to set. Sometimes I want to go myself. My boss is like, you know what, we have this, or we have a board meeting, and you're in the office till like 10, 11, and you don't have a voice. But I just feel that, sometimes in life, those are the periods that you have to sow, because I just feel that that's the
Mm,
period where you have to sacrifice, you have to learn the ropes. It's not exactly the most enjoyable. Yes, I can say be true to yourself, but then you might not necessarily be able to be everything that you want to be at that stage. But me, I just feel that that phase is a learning phase. Was it very
yeah.
pleasant for me? I would not say yes, it was very rosy and very easy and everything. It was tough. There are times I felt like quitting, like, man, this is for me and all that. It was tough. I just feel that sometimes you just have to pay your dues. Like, there are times I felt like quitting, and I had a support system. Sometimes I'll just bounce things off my mom. It could be someone, and they'll be like, "This is a process." You will look back, in the future, and you will be grateful for, for the journey, for the process, the skills you've acquired, the talent. Even character
Mm,
building. Sometimes you get,
true.
you build your character from all these challenges and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it's just, I don't know. The higher you climb up the corporate ladder, the more of a voice you would have. So sometimes you just have to be patient, wait it out. And if there are things that if you know that you can't deal with that stress, that's why I say work-life balance. Not every organization offers you that option. There are some that will afford you the ability to work, have your work, and
True.
then still impact your family positively. So it depends. But sometimes if you don't have that work-life balance, can you exercise? Are there things you can do to clear your mind? Can you meditate?
Mm,
I'm just saying that,
mm,
find something that eases your stress. I like, sometimes I just go to just have a session at the sauna, have a massage on over the weekends and all. So just
yeah.
find something, a way to like distress. I'm not saying work-life
Yeah.
balance is okay, but it's actually essential, for survival. Those are things that you can do. Talk to people, have a good sounding board, people that will give you
Yeah.
advice, people that are are genuine and honest, not people that would lead you astray, people that want the best for you, that want to
Yeah.
see you, at your fullest, capacity or potential. these are people that you should, confide in and everything. But just find something that makes you deal with it. It's not always easy. There were times that I was in toxic environments that I was always like falling sick, like I can't deal with this. This is too hard. Like I just want to quit. Like I'll be crying. I like, this is what then, you just have to just go through it, and eventually just be like, okay, that's why I went through this. It's not exactly
Yeah.
easy, but yeah,
Yeah.
you just have
Yeah.
to cope.
So, okay. So you said a lot of things. You talked about toolkits we can have. So you talked about emotional intelligence for so when you're at work, your toolkit is be emotionally intelligent, be strong, find mentors, know what your value system is, have a
Yes,
support system. And
yes.
your toolkit outside work is find ways to distress. So even if you're closing 12 midnight, you have to resume at 7 a.m. Give yourself that 30 minutes, 1 hour break. Or if hopefully you don't work in places where you have to work through public holidays,
I'm telling
just
you, weekend.
sleep. Yes. So those are like really practical things people can do. Very challenging. I feel like
Yeah.
we don't talk enough how hard it is in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. And so most people who are there don't understand this because it's like, I don't understand this. Why do I have to literally die? And I feel like this impacts how many people leave corporate eventually and be like, yes, entrepreneurship is for some people, but some people is more like, you know what, I want to toxic. I'll just go start something. And I just feel like information and just knowing that it passes would help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Maybe having a plan. So if your plan is, you know what, this, like, I feel like with work, your job has to give you something. So it's either it's giving you pay you can save for something in the future, it's giving you potential visibility for any job you want in the future, or it's giving you a network or something. If your job doesn't give you anything, maybe we want to, I can never advise you to leave your job, pay your bills. But
Exactly.
maybe what I would also ask then is it actually, so in your experience, like you said, do I really even stay the same? And maybe I should rephrase it this way. Are there things I actually need to adapt to? So me saying, you know what, I can never allow anybody to talk to me like that. Like you can't talk to me like that. Anybody talks to me like that, I'm gonna leave this job. Or my boss can never tell me to work on during my leave. I I mean, I try some of those things, so I'm just bringing them up so that in case there's someone in my shoes, you can never talk me through. Are there things that I actually need to adapt to? And do you have, advice? Is there any experience you can share that said for something that was like a hard line for you, but you shifted on it because maybe eventually it was like a growth thing? Because sometimes I feel like we also think we know everything. And then we go
Yeah.
up and we're like, actually, you don't know everything. Like the one thing I learned really well was how to manage people. I feel
Mm.
like what corporate did for me was people management. It's not politics, it's people management. Finding that
Yes.
people have processes and preferences, and you kind of have to adapt to it. And it has nothing to do with me. So it's not me changing who I am, it's me, like you said, emotional intelligence, is me adapting to my audience, whoever my audience is, to get the work done. So is there any experience you can share, that kind of borders on something that you thought was a hard line for you, but eventually you kind of shifted on it or found like the growth in that process?
Yes. Okay. So I think that, okay, there's a place for you saying that, oh, you want to have this value system, and da, da, da. Especially when I think with everyone, you have to think about the terrain you're in, like where you live. Like, are there things that, because most of my friends that actually
Mm,
work in Nigeria, like sometimes I have conversations with people in the UK, I have conversations with people in Canada. There are things that I feel that are like, very common in Nigeria. Like a lot of
correct.
times when you say, I feel like nobody likes to be spoken to in a rude way, or just to be
Yeah,
disrespected and all. Or
yeah,
it's what I'm just saying, that sometimes when you're in a particular system,
yeah.
there's some things that like I don't know whether it's maybe being aggressive or abrasive. Sometimes in the Nigerian workforce, I feel
Mm,
that if you want to survive here, it's something that you have to deal with.
yeah.
The actually work
Yes.
environment is actually like a lot more peaceful. Like I work in a place where there's a lot of people. I'm just saying that most Nigerian offices come with like some people
Yes.
are very rude, aggressive, and all those things. So what I
Yes.
think what you're saying is that I think maybe people need to be more, the younger ones need to be more sensitized that
Yes.
things that are very common when it comes to maybe in the UK, it could be you're dealing with different things, whether it's one factor or the other. There are factors that just, they just exist in different
Mm,
parts of the world. So you just have to learn to deal with that and all that if you want to go on the journey. And if you know you're tired of it, I have friends that tell me, I can't deal with this, so I'm quitting and I'm either moving abroad or moving elsewhere and all. Do you get what I'm saying? And then sometimes,
yes.
like you said, I know you mentioned something about managing people. I think there's also a
Yes.
place for sometimes self-reflection, because I've also learned that like you have to reflect
Mm,
and you have to listen to feedback. Nobody knows it all. You don't have 100% of the information. There are times also in my career, like I had to just sit down and say, okay, well, even if you are the most intelligent, hardworking person, the most resourceful person, if you do not know how to manage people very well, that is going to be a major problem. So a lot of
yeah.
times, yes, there are issues with the system. I'm not saying the system is perfect, but there are also areas that I feel that sometimes a lot of people in younger ones don't necessarily sit down to reflect or take, good feedback or constructive criticism very well. So there are times in my career too that my friends will sit me down and be like, you know what, Eniola, if this is part of your job, you have to learn how to manage people. For me too, in my journey, I've had to learn that. I'm still learning. Yes, I'm still learning. I'm still not perfected
Yes.
in that. I'm still
Very
learning.
true.
So a lot of
Very
times they're
true.
also learning how to deal with people. How am I passing my message across? Am I being rude? Am I managing
Mm,
people's expectations? Am I giving them the
mm,
result? A lot of times you might feel that, oh, but I did my best. I feel no, you can't be a judge in your own
yes.
case. You have to
Yeah.
listen to other people, and in doing that,
Yeah.
you become a better version of yourself. Because at times I actually sit down, I'm like, I think in reality I could have done this better. I need to improve on this. The way I talk to
True.
people, the way I communicate, and all that. That's just it. Like sometimes it's just communication. Oh, I didn't,
Yeah.
I did this, I didn't, pass this message across and things like that. And there are times that I also had like, tough times in my career where I said, okay, I'm going to, like, when I switched from initially from legal to digital banking, it was like, what's the lawyer doing in digital banking and all those kind of things? Why are you moving? And, all, and also because of this, going through a bit of, a tough time. And I said, okay, let me try this. And, actually turned out a lot better than I expected. It was
Better.
amazing. I could still bring my
Awesome.
legal expertise to the table. It wasn't just me sitting at a desk, drafting agreements and all that. It was also me going for meetings, meeting new people, like, just enjoying the experience and, growing in my career. So I just
Makes
feel that.
sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. I like that. I like that because, like you said, I remember my young self. I feel if you're very idealistic like me, I'm very like black and white. But this is wrong. I'm not going to do that. No, no,
Exactly.
no, no, no. You guys are literally lying. I'm not going to do that. I definitely fall under that category of very young and opinionated. I
Yes.
didn't really care who you. My first boss was an SA. I used to talk to him eye to eye. This is my opinion. This is what I think. But like you said, the older I grow now, the more I feel like I'm a little more adaptable in terms of, for example, if I go to a government office, it's like example I like. You talked about environment and context in Nigeria. You have to be polite. It doesn't even matter if it was the other person that should have been polite to you. You have to
Exactly.
take the extra, and like I literally have to be extra nice. Good afternoon. How are you, sir? I call everybody sir. I don't even care who you are. Sir, ma'am, be 15 years my younger person. I don't really care. What in this context, I need to execute and I need, to get what I need done. I will give
Yeah.
you respect. Someone says that it's like sometimes I'm too much. I'm like, I learned that people look at you and already are like, this girl is rude. I haven't said a word. I literally have said nothing to you.
Yeah.
So I have to break that by first greeting. I just love greeting.
Yes.
Greet all this. Call by
Respect.
your first name.
Ah,
Just
I'm
call them
telling you.
this star. Do you know that this star is not going to do anything to anybody? I definitely it's something I had to learn because I just used to feel like if the office policy is go by first names, it's first names. If we're doing it's your job to do this, why do I have to encourage you to do it? Just do your job. But I found that, right now, before I send any email, whether to a client or to internal, I will call you first. But it took me a long time to learn that basic thing. That this email that you said that I sent you an email 2 weeks ago, they don't
Exactly.
care. They literally don't care that you sent that
Yes.
email. You better pick
Exactly.
up so it's like finding the way around it. So I really like the things you said. I like to say, how, so as a lawyer and someone who works in banking, how did you find time for social? How did you keep friends, make friends? How did you juggle that part? I think that's something that would be very helpful for
Yeah.
me to know.
Like, in all honesty, yeah, when I started working like in a bank, like it was so hard for me. Like it was tough because I'm waking up in the morning by 5 a.m. I'm not getting back like until 9, 10. When I get back, weekdays, I'm like crashing, going straight to bed. Weekends too, like I'm sleeping throughout the whole of Saturday. Like I don't not having a social life and all that. Something
Mhm.
like that initial phase, I was just like, I was always tired. Like, how do I cope with this? Somebody's inviting me for one wedding, somebody's doing this, somebody's doing that. I'm saying that it was a lot, like, and
Yeah.
then it's like so it's really stressful because a lot of times you're like at one point I was even questioning myself on the career journey that is it even worth it? Like you get what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
especially at times where you feel like I want to be moving ahead. Am I not moving as I ought to be?
Yeah,
I'm spending how
true.
many hours in the office? I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But
True.
sometimes I always look back, I'll be like, I wish I could encourage my younger self because then I was like, even finding time for friendships and everything, I didn't have time. It's just
Yeah.
now that I'm like, okay, fine, I can actually breathe. I can actually have time, like
Yes.
have more time now. I can,
Yeah.
socialize, I can interact. But there was a time where it was just back to back work, weekends work.
Mm.
Monday to Friday work. I won't even have time to like just have a drink on Fridays with my friends or chill and
Mhm.
everything. Maybe weekend I just maybe have to just sneak in maybe something. Then Sunday I just go to church and that's it. So, but
Yeah.
now at this stage in life, I just think that you have to make sometimes you have to actually make a conscious effort because you realize that see, you won't have any friends or you won't have any
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so you know the
Yeah.
work. Like, the work is not going to keep you warm at night. It's not going to just with you. So you just have to make sure that the older you get, relationships are crucial. They are vital. They are very important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't build those relationships, there'll come a time where you're like there was a time that I used to even have mentors, like they were just maybe executive directors here. Now to see them as CEOs of this place, of that place, like I mentioned like 5 of them. But I'm like, you have to foster those relationships because if you say walk, 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 walk alone, no, it's not enough to
It's not
to help
true.
you on
True.
your journey. It's not.
Funny.
So, but
Okay.
you just have to find time so that because distress you know
Yeah.
find something that takes you. It could be sports, it could be golfing, it could be tennis, it could be something that gets you relaxed. I'm going to the spa this weekend. I'm hanging out with my girls. Let's just have brunch together because you have to
Yeah.
think outside of the office. If not, you burn out. You just will not be as happy, productive. I think human beings, we need relationships. We do.
We do. We really do. We really do.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So find time for relationships. Find time for relationships is very key. I think survival is usually the thing. I think we'll talk about the newer generation now, and like I think there might also be a shift with work, especially with hybrid work and remote work. I think we'll touch on that a little bit. But before we go into that, so you said to us today, actually, most of us, or you especially, had to kind of just go with it until it eased out. So you just, work, stay strong, stay focused, have a plan, have mentors, like you said, try relationships. So would you talk about communities and maybe how to find communities in those times? Um, I would say, for example, I kind of believe in work relationships. People say they don't make friends at work. I always make friends at
Yeah.
work. Every job I've had, I've made friends at those jobs, and not superficial friendships.
Hmm.
But I feel like, because again, if you can't make new friends, you might at least be nice to the people in your space that are there all the
Exactly.
time. So
Exactly.
that's how I kind of saw it. But are there other ways for me to stay? Because I don't. The one thing I wish I did more, if I have to say mine, is community. I feel like I could have done more community work, but again, I'm trying to survive, and there are 15 things. I'm just like be part of the MBA. Be part of the MBA for what? The MBA is stressing me, But are there ways to sort of just, be a little more strategic, to say, yes, I don't have time, but I can sort of do it this way, like maybe do annual conferences, for
Yeah.
example. Maybe something. Is there a way you did you do any communities, or is there any suggestion you have around that? You know.
Okay. I think at this stage in my life, maybe like because after like working for a little while, then I found my job myself in BOI. Sometimes juggling that with motherhood, trying to do this. Sometimes I'm like I'm just
Mm.
barely trying to survive and all that. So I'm just saying that no, I don't feel that like you are no like to me I'm in my 30s, so I'm like I'm still very young. I have my whole life ahead of me. So I'm like at this stage, it's about pushing ahead. What can I do to be better? You can
Makes
always
sense.
reinvent yourself, rediscover yourself. Are there
So
courses I need to do?
makes
Like,
sense.
at this stage, I'm like
Mm.
more about personal development. Now that I've put that, okay, your family is there, you've had your kids, you're thinking about this. Now you can now focus because I'm saying that it's actually sometimes it's juggling act. I'm just trying to survive. Okay,
Okay.
this
Okay.
person,
Okay.
juggling this,
Okay.
friendships,
Okay.
this, and then you're also
Okay.
trying to make impact. But I feel that you have done very well because I was looking at you, I was like, Ibuku is really doing amazing. Like you're part of different communities. You're doing this. You're
Um,
winning awards here. 40 under 40 young directors. I'm like, how are you doing it? I said we have to have this conversation. You have to give me the secret because I don't know how you do that because sometimes it's a lot. You're juggling your career, juggling this, trying to do this, trying to join this. So I think that's one area that I think I need to push myself more. I need to join more communities, do more
okay.
things. It could be like even when you say MBA conference, it could be young directors.
Yeah.
It could be just push yourself, put yourself out
Yeah.
there. Sometimes when you
Yeah.
start these things, you'll be shocked that you actually have the strength. I don't know where the strength comes from.
Yes.
But sometimes you
Yeah.
just realize that the more you try things, sometimes just start things, and you just realize that you can actually do a lot. You can actually accomplish a lot more than you think you can.
Thing.
So,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree with you. So,
yeah.
so the question you asked me, I just like you, I feel like what happened was I just found myself at a place where I'm like, this thing you're doing, this thing you're doing, like all this work is great. Again, going back to what you said with value system, I like people. Fundamentally, I like human. I know there are people who don't like human beings, so I need to put that out there first. I actually like human beings genuinely. So I found myself like consciously sticking out places I could go. And it's really hard to do and sometimes near impossible because I have friends I live in the same area with and I still don't see them. It's the
Wow.
wildest thing,
Yeah.
but I what I'm really I try to be really scheduled now. That's what I try. And I
Mm.
try not to when I'm tired, I try to push myself beyond it. What just happens is I just try to get maybe I say Sundays, for example, I'll be like, calm down today. So because we don't have infinite energy and you have to
Yeah.
deliver our work. So it's a balancing act. But I consciously actually said I will be actively participating in everything, whether it was work related, what's the social thing we're doing, what are we organizing, or
Mm.
what are you guys doing here? When I meet people, like genuinely just say, okay, what are you into? Okay, let's try that out. So it was a period of me saying a lot of yeses, very random yeses. I was just in a phase of meeting people, because I feel like I went through the most challenging time, and I was just like, I need a break, and my break will have to just be finding external, which is what I talked about with you, finding things outside of work,
Yes.
and communities give you people. So what I find is you'll be so the people I made adult friends, and it's so interesting. Like we met at this event and we just clicked. We met at that event and we just had things we could do together. So I won't say it's easy, but you have to consciously do it. Like beginning of this year, I sat down and I said I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E. When I see the work, sometimes I'm like, nobody sent you for this. Nobody sent you for this. But then I'm like, you can do it, you can do it. Don't worry, you'll be fine, you can do it. So you might be overshadowed, but I found that I look to a lot of mentors that I feel like I like, and this is what they do. They show up at places and events. Socially, I can be like the worst person to invite out, but I have to make a conscious effort to try, to just be like, yes, I can't. If I have work, I have it, I have this, I have that, I have this. I'm like, just show up. What I don't do is, even if it's just an hour you spend there,
Yeah.
let the person feel your presence and then leave. But socials are so once you cross a certain age, I think when you're younger, it may not matter and it may be a little more organic. But once you're older, like you said, the intentionality about I have to. So I would say advice to everyone is find at least one or two communities
Mm.
and join them. Just start by joining them.
Mm.
And then the next step would then be put yourself there. So don't just go for MBA and, nothing. Go for MBA and reach out to someone and say hi. Do you know who the publicity secretary is? Do you know what their committee is like? Just little things like that. And people people are, I don't know how to explain this. Like, people are the thing that I think have made a difference for me. You know, then they're like, oh, this is what you do. Because again, like, I've met you, we had this conversation today. I know a lot more of what you do, Jonathan. I know a lot more of, oh, and the life insurance is this. If I think about it, if I hear, I'll be like, hi, Annie. I remember we spoke about this. How far with this? And I sent it to you. That's how a lot of things that I'm doing have worked out. That's the truth. I just started by joining, and it started by, maybe I saw somebody I liked and I followed who was doing it, and I was like, "Ah, what are they doing here? Let's go and see." Also, like you said, the benefit of being longer in career is niching in. And like you and digital banking and BOI, so you kind of already know that, okay, this is my niche. So in your
Exactly.
niche, it's easier to sort of say I'm focused on anything in this space. Yeah, so I'll say that those are the things, which is also why we did the executive woman, but we'll get to that at the end. Is to sort of say, yeah, I found it hard to figure it out. I'm still figuring it out. I feel like a lot of us are in that space. And
Yeah.
so instead of trying to get that resource to you and say, oh, can we look through who you are, what you do, and find things that tailored to that? Oh, I want to do 3 conferences today this year. Or like there was somebody who said to us, she came for the vision board in January. She was like, oh, I want to be on a panel, or I want to moderate this year. That was like her goal. And then we started saying, okay, what do you, like, things like that.
Yeah.
Intentionality is very helpful. I've had somebody else reach out to me to say, I want to do any panel, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of having that intention. Like, you have to think about what you want to do and then do it. Yeah, so I think I've said too much. I apologize.
No, it's
Um,
fine. We're
yeah,
learning.
so, so, I would say the thing I like the most about you, and I know you said so many things, and you probably already answered this, is how, like, you can literally see how lively and happy you are. I don't know how to explain it. And like, you do color like nobody else. Can I just give you that compliment? You do color like nobody else. Um, so how is it that you sort of I don't know how to explain it. How did you maintain like your inner, I don't know if I should call it light or inner joy,
Yeah.
despite like all the hard things you've told us that you've done? Is there any one thing that stands out as this one thing really, really kept me in all of the, reinventions that I've gone through?
Yeah. I said earlier, I think there should be like something that you do, like meditation. Like for me, I would say like I'm very, in all honesty, I would say I can't really explain to you, like, or tell you that I have one kind of inner strength. My inner strength primarily
Yeah.
comes from God. Like that's what I would say. But I'm
Okay.
just saying that sometimes having an attitude of gratitude, like always be grateful, like be grateful for your
I like
journey.
that.
I'm not saying that it's always easy, because you meet a lot of people that are very bitter, very
Yes.
angry. They just
Yes.
want to change you. They want you to adapt. Why are you so happy? Why are you smiling? But I'm saying that sometimes, you have to, deal with your trauma. Like some people have childhood trauma, past, they're dealing with different types of people. So I'm a lot of
Yeah.
times I'm just like, you can choose to also, meet,
That's what I'm
anger with
talking
anger. You can meet rudeness with
about.
rudeness. Like, really, what does that really solve in the world? Like, you say, okay, be the change you
Yeah.
want to see in the world. So a lot of times I'm
Yeah.
like, you see people that are broken, you meet people, different types of people. Yes, you're in the workplace, but people that have different things they are battling, different things that they are dealing with. Some people know how to handle it better, some don't. I think mine was also like maybe part of my upbringing, maybe like, do not go outside or take out your anger on other people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Some people are bitter, like they're coming to work and they're dealing with one thing. You might be even dealing with more. but you just
True.
kind of just take it to a place where, you know what, I'm just going to meditate. I'm going to leave this in this compartment and focus on my work.
True.
So I think
True.
it's actually a conscious effort. A lot of people just always have one justification. Somebody is doing this, going through this, so I lash out at this person, I do this, I do that. But sometimes I always tell myself that irrespective of what you're going through, like if you come to me with what you're rude or you're nasty, or sometimes I just think about it, I'm like, the only thing I can do is respond from a place of love, irrespective of. I'm not saying that sometimes you feel like, yeah, you feel like, going off on people and
Yeah.
or being good
Yeah.
handsome, or repaying people in their own coin and all those kind of
Fine.
things. But sometimes I'm just like, what does that really do for you? So sometimes I think in order to be the best version of yourself, even I have gone through stages where I have dealt with bitterness. People have thrown all sorts of things.
Mm,
Do you want to continue being in this place? Do you want to stay down in the doldrums? You want to pick yourself up and be the best version of yourself? Because at the end of the day, what does that do? You can't improve. You can't think. You are dragging around, darkness,
yeah.
unforgiveness, and all that. And it's
Yeah.
not even worth it.
Yeah.
The day I
Yeah.
started getting of all the pain, all the hurt, and all the anger and everything, I just realized that it's. I just started, coming out in full bloom. I've never. It's not like I lost myself at all, but I'm just saying that I've just tried to, keep
Stay
that energy.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that's the perfect answer. Thank you so much. I think that's a great way to just open up the call to other people to make a comment, ask questions. Um, we have a tradition of calling everybody on the call to say so. Introduce yourself, either make a comment or ask a question. So we can go right into that, or if someone has a question, then we can do that first. Any questions for us, for our guest? Okay, no questions. So I could pause the recording here just so that um, we can then go and ask, we can introduce ourselves. Yes, so I'm gonna stop the recording.